In this video, we are looking at the functionalist perspective in sociology. It's a major theory in sociology, and sociologists have used this theory to tell us a lot about society, to give us information about society, how society functions, the stability of society, and it's important to have a deeper understanding of this perspective. What does that mean? How does it impact society? What are the key aspects and elements of this perspective? All right, so let's take a closer look. So when we talk about functionalist perspective, we are talking about macro sociology, right? And macro here means big or large, right? So we are looking at the bigger points. We're looking at the bigger aspects of society, right? So functionalist perspective is representative of macro, right? Macro sociology, and it deals with systems. Please take note of this. This is very important. Again, let's take a closer look at this. Functionalist perspective deals with macro sociology, and macro sociology is dealing with systems in society and how they are interconnected and the impact of those interconnectedness or interconnections, right? Let's pause for a minute. Again, consider this, because this is the crust of this perspective, and it's important for us to have an understanding of this crust, right? So here it says functionalist perspective is representative of macro sociology. Now we have macro, right, which is small, and macro, which is big or large, right? In the previous video, we looked at this small perspective of the macro perspective. In this video, again, we are examining the macro perspective. All right, so here it says, for example, it examines how the part or whole of society influence each other and the process of keeping a balance in society, with the parts working collaboratively. Now, this is very important, right? Because we are looking at how the different aspects of society work collaboratively to stabilize society. That's what this is about. That's what the functionalist perspective is about. Examining how the parts and the whole collaborate to keep society going, to keep a balance in society, and taking a look at how they work collaboratively. So, for example, family values, education, knowledge, religion, environment, and culture, just to mention a few, are all instrumental in establishing societal values to young people. And it's important for us to understand that, because these are the macro elements of society. Family values is huge. It has a lot of influence on society. People cultivate their values based on their family values, how they were raised. Education has a significant impact on society. It's the vehicle for social mobility. Knowledge that ties in with education. Religion influences people in a very significant way. The environment influences people in a very significant way as well. The environment where you're being raised, right? Within the sense of where you're being raised, environmental values, the values that are inculcated in people regarding the environment. Environment is sacred, geographically that is, an environment in terms of the environment where you were raised, the physical environment where you were raised. All of those have significant impact on society, and then consider macro sociology, right? So, and culture as well, instrumental in establishing societal values to young people. So young people get their values from these elements of society, family values, education, knowledge, religion, environment, culture, and again, the list is long, right? And so this is what we mean by functionalist perspective. Taking a look at how the bigger parts of society function, how they collaborate to establish stability in society. Again, families, family values, education. How do these factors, right, collaborate to establish societal stability? That is the crust of this perspective. So it goes on to say that functionalists believe that society's stability is achieved if all the various aspects, very key point here, various aspects, we go back to values, we go back to education, we go back to knowledge, religion, we go to environment, we go to culture, etc. right? These are the various parts we're talking about. Of a society are seen as functional. They have to be functional because that is how society is stabilized. When all of these aspects are functional, then you can say you have a stable society. Society stability is not achieved if seen as dysfunctional, right? So if these parts are not working right, let's highlight this. If these parts are not working right, then society is deemed to be dysfunctional, right? They are not working in collaboration. They are not achieving a balance. They are not bringing about stability. Then society is considered to be dysfunctional. However, it is important to note that some aspects of society can be both functional and dysfunctional at the same time. This is very important as well, because not either or. Sometimes it can be dysfunctional, it can be functional. Sometimes one of the aspects of society can create both dysfunctional society and functional society. An example is crime, which can destabilize a society for obvious reasons. If a society has crime, lots of crime, it has the capability to destabilize the society. If crime is rampant, well, it draws a lot of resources. It impacts the image of the society. People are now scared to go out at night, and people are very suspicious of others and so forth. It has ripple effects, right? So it can destabilize society. But at the same time, that same crime can be the catalyst, can be the vehicle for new ideas. How do we tackle this crime? What do we put in place? How do we build capacity to tackle this crime, right? So new ideas, collaborations, and cooperation amongst members of society on how to keep society safe, right? So what is seen as dysfunctional, right? Dysfunctional, this is dysfunctional, well, can be seen as, right, making society whole, because it provides the opportunity for brainstorming. This is brainstorming. Provide the opportunity for brainstorming and also coming together of the society, of the community, to present a common front and solution to this problem. So this is how one aspect can work in both directions and can work in favor of both. So the functionalist perspective is representative of macro sociology, and this is again very important point to note. It's very, very, very key to note this point. Representative of macro sociology, dealing with the larger systems, right, in society, and how those systems are connected or interconnected. And what are those systems, right? We are talking about values, education, knowledge, religion, talking about environment, culture. All of these are very important in understanding the functionalist perspective. They are all instrumental in establishing societal values to young people. And then he goes on to say, as we wrap this up, he goes on to say that the functionalists believe that society stability is achieved if all of these various aspects, again, we go back to this, we go back to this, we go back to this, this, as well as culture, right? If all of these various aspects of society are seen as functional, or society stability is not achieved if seen as dysfunctional. That's why this is important. That's why it's important for us to understand this aspect. And that's why sociologists spend a lot of time to investigate and research these factors and these aspects to determine how they contribute to society's stability, etc. It is important to note that some aspects of society can be both functional and dysfunctional, as we just said moments ago, and crime becomes an example because it provides opportunity for society to come together and devise a solution towards, a peaceful society. This is functional perspective, a key sociological theory.